It's College Football 25 game just a few days away from release. Thought I'd go through and look at what we had in NCAA 14 for the air raid and how accurate it was to what Mike Leach was running for the Washington State playbook and what other new playbooks we'd expect to see in College Football 25. Because we're going to have USC and Clemson, which is both Lincoln Riley and Garrett Riley, where I'm going to expect to see a lot more GT counter runs in there for your run game, some more play action, vertical shot type plays, and such. But you also have your traditional air raid plays like mesh, white cross, four verticals, and such. And then you're going to have your Zach Kitley tree, your Western Kentucky, Texas Tech, and somewhat branching into Washington State, where it's going to be a bit more modernized with the RPO game. Quarterback's going to be a bit more involved in the run game. You'll use more switch releases and stack sets and a bit more 4-strong type of RPO running formations, and just a slightly more modern version or twist of it. You got North Texas and Purdue with Eric Morris and Graham Harrell. Both of them played under Mike Leach at Texas Tech and coached under him at Washington State. And a lot of their passing game for 10 personnel is going to be similar with their 3x1 and 2x2 sets. But they're also going to use some Y-off tight end type sets and have counter in their run game. Colorado State's probably going to be the closest to a traditional air raid, just from the games I watched. They do use a tight end. They'll move him around a bit. But watching the games, I saw a lot of mesh. I saw a lot of shallow, stick, four verts. It wasn't a multiple offense and how many concepts they were running. They were keeping it very simple and in line with traditional air raid. Baylor, you got Jake Spavital there. He got a start under Dana Holgerson, so expect to see some influences from him there. Wisconsin, you got Phil Longo as the offensive coordinator, where you're going to see a bit more counter and more access type throws added in. They're probably going to do them as RPOs, where you're going to have a hitch or a peak or anything like that. Sonny Cumbie at Louisiana Tech, that's another option. He played under Mike Leach at Texas Tech. And there will be the generic air raid playbook, which that could be Mike Leach's playbook based off how it was at the later half of Washington State and Mississippi State. Or it could just be copy and paste of the generic air raid playbook from NCAA 14. Could be the Washington State playbook from NCAA 14. Or it could just be a conglomeration of different plays and formations we've seen air raid offenses run. We'll have to find it out, but that's probably where I'd start if I wanted to create a Mike Leach version. Build a custom starting from that, and then looked at Colorado State, Purdue, North Texas, USC. Those are probably where the drop back passing game is going to be the most similar. Here I've got the Washington State playbook pulled up from NCAA 14. It's fairly accurate on formations. The plays, some of them are accurate, others they didn't really run and they're just filler tossed into playbook. Others it's similar, but there are differences and tweaks to how we ran it. Like formations, you got your two back sets here. You got green, which your Y's to the right. Blue, your slot's going to be to the left, so this one should be run flipped like this. He did run some two tight end sets at Washington State, but he mostly dropped off of that and stopped recruiting tight ends. Big flip. That's his version of, or that's the game's version of what Mike Leach called slot, which is a set that used a H-back or a sniffer look there, where you see that second tight end lined up off the line. At Mississippi State, they just toss in a running back, and on the line it'd just be your Y wide receiver, and they kind of condense the splits and narrow it down. It didn't really run attached tight end from 2x2. Is was going to be 10 personnel or 20 personnel. Then you get your 2x2 sets for ace, 3x1, left is late for early and late. And he also had an empty set where you do empty right or empty left, where your halfback's going to motion out right or left to the field. Solus to the field, you're never running it to the boundary. And he'd just be the innermost slot to either side. It's just ace, your halfback's going to line up in the innermost slot. You went away from the under center stuff that you ran at Texas Tech. You know, you got your brown and orange with your fullback looks. Deuce, which was your two tight end balance look, and slot, which he moved to being a shotgun set. Pistol, he did run pistol. Washington State is I've seen him run a full house pistol set, but is mainly dabbling in it more as a one-off type look, and then they never really went back to it. 2x2. At Texas Tech, they used to do ace, ace rip, and dart. And Washington State, he really went away from that, where who's on the line isn't determined by the formation, it's determined by which play you're running and how they want to do the releases. So every 2x2 formation is going to be ace. And the same thing with your 3x1 sets. So you no longer have early rip, it just be early, then depending on how you wanted the releases, who's on the line versus who off would change. Same thing with late. Personnel wise, you know, you're going to have X, Z, H, and Y for your receivers, F's your back. You don't recruit all your receivers the same. X is going to be taller guy, usually between 6'1 and 6'4, your best deep threat. Z, very similar build, most of the time between 6'1 and 6'4. Sometimes you get guys who are slightly shorter. Same with X. Z is going to be your best route runner, but he also needs to be someone who can stretch the field and do those over-the-shoulder catches on verticals. H and Y, you know, they're going to be your shiftier, smaller receivers. H is going to be your shiftiest or most elusive guy. Your water bug, quick change of direction guy. Y needs to be your toughest player. You know, he's going to be catching a lot of crossing routes or the middle where he's going to get hit. So I'd look for catching traffic and toughness and being able to take a lot of hits. F, I look for good hands, blocking. You know, it's going to vary depending on how the game plays. Quarterback, you want to prioritize accuracy. You know, if you can get a big arm and speed, that's nice, but you need a quarterback who's going to hit the throws and not hang you out to dry and cause drives to stall out by missing passes. You know, don't sacrifice accuracy just to get a guy with big arm and speed. And most of his quarterbacks weren't guys with big arms who could rip the ball all over the field. So getting into the plays we have here, there's stuff that's accurate, stuff that needs to be slightly tweaked, and stuff that's just filler, like the play action deep outs, that's just filler play. They didn't run that at all. But Y shallow, the halfback should be lining up to the left on Y shallow. So it should be your halfback weak set. Same with Z shallow, you want the halfback opposite the direction the shallow is coming from. And then he's going to release out to the flat to the side the shallow started on. Madden does it correctly with the H shallow plays, but the Y shallows, Z shallows, and such, you know, those aren't accurate. So if it's going to be halfback to the strong side, that's going to be your X shallow and H shallow. Halfback to the weak side, it's going to be your Y shallow and Z shallow. Then you get your inside zone play. Stick 618. All quick game, they did double slants on the backside, so you're not going to have that pivot route there. Same with 617 and 8. You know, all of them at default is just double slants backside. Read option, they did occasionally run it. It was very infrequent. Play action flanker screen, so your Randy and Larry screens are going to be attached to your runs as an RPO, or that's what they should be in the game. They didn't consider an RPO as just more of a package play type of thing, where you call it together and the quarterback's just going to pick pre-snap which one he's going to do. The Y corner, same thing as I said with 618. You know, double slants backside. Receiver to the side of the corner has the slant sit option and can settle in space. Speed option, didn't really run it. Halfback slip screens, they did run. Verticals, ran a lot of verticals. Draw, they ran a lot of draws. Z shallow. Same thing I said with Y shallow, where the halfback should be weak. Mid screen, which is your read and Lisa tunnel screens. Slot flags, which is 98 or smash. Mesh. So Mesh and Madden is actually more accurate to how Mike Leach ran it than the game has it, where they have that post backside. They did have some X post and Z post tags, but it wouldn't be a post like that. I'd expect it to be double outs or double corners, and whether it's a corner and out route, it's just how the receiver is leveling off the route based on the depth the corner's playing. If it's man coverage, you're going to want to try and run it sharper like an out route and angle slightly back. If he's playing off in cover 3, you can run more of a corner out or level it off depending on the depth. But it's really just pick a side on either the corner or the outs from X or Z, then work the mesh. You read the meshes, one read into the back. The back should be on a check release route. And just like that. Then if you don't like either of the outs, you can just go to the mesh. So let's pretend we don't like the outs here. We're going to throw to one of the mesh receivers. And back's going to be on the check release. Then you got your white cross 95. The game has the post on their default. Really it should be the post curl is your stock way of running 95. They have the option route by H, which really it should just be an out route. But then you can do tags like what they have here is Z post. So you can do Z post, X post, double under, H divide, where you do ace 95 H divide Z post. You'll see a lot of people calling that play shallow sting. It's not really shallow or based off shallow, it's 95 and just tags on it. Leach didn't do jet sweeps really. 617, same with 619. They have the two ends on the backside. It should just be double slants, but it's fine that way. It's actually kind of better. Normally what I like to do is put the inside guy on the slant and the outside guy on the short end route. Same thing with white corner and stick. That's how I like to do it. It's not really double slant, so it works best in the game for me. We get H shallow, another smash play. Really, you're going to see the same plays ran throughout each 2x2 formation. You go weak, you get 618H, which any quick game you can really run either way, where you have 617, 619, just flipping it 618, 618H, and 8 and 8H. Play action read, it's kind of 85, which they do as a play action version of 95, but this isn't really how they do it. It's going to look pretty much the same as what 95 would. You're just running play action. They do Ace 85 Fox, which would look similar to how you'd run it from Dart, where H is going to run the slot fade, X is running a smoke screen. Halfback off tackle, outside zone, they did run that. Draw, again, H shallow, verticals, X shallow, bubble screens. They did do some motions and push motions with their back, so you got these with stick and white corner. Smash. They ran a play called Fold at Washington State, which is very similar to a halfback base or trap. More shallows, halfback slip screen. Flanker dig is just filler, same as play action dig, they didn't run that. Mid screens, again, didn't really do jet sweeps, didn't run counter. Again, the same thing here. Got X shallow, play action dig, they didn't do that. More stick, screens, shallow, verticals, just repeating the same concepts. Cross, smash, more screens, mesh, shallow, corner. So now we get to our 3x1 sets. Stick, the way they're doing stick here isn't how Mike Leach ran stick from 3x1 at Washington State and Mississippi State. How they ran stick there is stick post to wheel. So it's always going to be 4 strong, back's got a shoot route, H is running the wheel, Z is running the post. Play action read, they didn't run it. Play action comebacks, didn't run it. Screens, outside zone. Slot drive, they didn't run it. Now they did have a play that is similar. So they had early 6 wide follow, which is similar to what shallow was. Yeah, shallow originally came off of 6 and it was or A6 Y shallow, like that. But eventually became its own play as 91. So you have early 6 Y follow, which the way you do it is back's going to be swinging out to the flat, Y is going to be on a shallow, H is going to be on a dig, like that, and it's just really reading left to right. So you're going to look at the fade, to the back and the swing to the flat, Y on the shallow to the dig, and you might be able to put that guy on a curl route or something like that, just like this. Not a lot of space to fit it in there. That's how you do it. You know, we got here curls. They didn't do that play at all. They did do 96, but not with that post route in there. And play action wide receiver, and they didn't do that. Fake screens, they did a lot of those. Flanker screen, inside zone, draw. Again, the way they ran stick from 3x1 was 4 strong, stick post wheel. Verticals. They didn't run much flood at all later on at Washington State, which it's not really flood, it's white sail, which 94. Flood, you're always going to be running an out. They didn't always have to be an out. It could be an out, it could be a deeper corner, or they could just sit in open space. There was a lot more freedom to how they'd run it. They did have 95 Y switch Z post, which from 2x2 sets would look very similar to Y sail, but you know, as you're still reading it like Y cross. Halfback swing screens, they did do those. Mid screens, more screens. Smash, I don't think they ever really ran this from 3x1. They'd run it from 2x2 and empty. That's not how they ran corner. Corner, they ran it with the corner route by Y, then the 2 in routes or slant sits by the other receivers. That's a lot of stuff you do in early. Late, it's kind of the same thing really, because you're just moving H and Y across. Your routes are going to be similar. So again, stick, you have 618 post wheel. You're not going to run it like how it is in that picture. Play action boot over, they didn't do that at all. You did have more verticals. Flood post, so really what I think flood post is based off of is 617 switch, which they ran at Texas Tech, but at Washington State he went away from it and kind of replaced it with scissors. So the difference is here you're running, the scissors half is ran by your X and H receiver in the slot there, while when he went to scissors from 617 switch, it was going to be H and Y would run the scissors, X or Z, depending on whether you're running it from early or late, is going to run more of a slant sit route, and it's going to be 4 strong with your halfback swinging out to the flat on the strong side. Inside cross, didn't really do anything like that. There you see inside smash, that's how they'd really run more 8 from 3x1, where you're going to have the option to set it up against zone for the 2 outside receivers. Your inside guy's going to run a corner route. Slot corner, and they might have had a tag version of it like that, or a constraint play for one game, but that wasn't their base way of running corner. Again, didn't run counter, wide receiver screen, scat. Didn't really do scat. So mesh dig, talk about mesh dig here for a minute. Just pick cover for it. So what mesh dig is supposed to be, or what I think it is supposed to be, is an approximation of what they called snake. So Mike Leach's offense, you'd have late snake and early cobra, but they only ran early cobra maybe twice in his entire career, and they just didn't put any practice time into it, so they didn't run it. It's always going to be from late. But here it's not quite what it's supposed to be. So the first thing is here where you see Anais Smith and slot there running the wheel route. Really what you're going to do is run up the hash and either run a seam route or a post route based off of how the field looks. So it look more like that, maybe like a streak. X, you're going to run behind him as the snake route. You're going to follow behind him in his footsteps. Then when you get to about 10 yards, you're going to break inside. You do have the option to sit down against zone and find the first hole that you can get to. Here they don't have that. Then your meshing receivers, why they didn't call it 92 mesh snake when they just called it late snake. They didn't have the option to sit down, so you always had to be running across. The reason for that is you want to clear out the room for that dig or the snake route to be able to find space and sit up. Then your halfback, he's going to run a wheel route, so pre-snap you're going to kind of peek the running back wheel, see if it's there. Then you're just going to read that dig route to the mesh. So like that. That's really what his offense was at Washington State and Mississippi State. Your quick game is going to be 618, 618H, 617 or 619, 8 and 8H, and 66. So they didn't really run 66 very much. Drop back's going to be 6, 91, which is your shallow X, H, Y, or Z, 92, which is mesh with tags. You could do a lot of post wheel tags on it from 2x2 or 3x1 or split back. 93, they didn't really run it anymore. They could run that from 2x2 or 3x1, but that play was pretty much dead and non-existent at that point. 94, white sail, they did go away from running that. I have seen practice and install film from his time at Mississippi State where they did have it in there. They had a 94 H angle for ace that they were running through for routes on air drill. But I don't recall ever seeing them run it in a game. They largely went away from that, and their main way of getting a strong side flood would be the 95 Y switch play. 96, they did have it, they just rarely ran it. 98, they run that. You get 98 X sluggo, 98 Z sluggo. You could do 98 H post or 98 Z post and such. And scissors, so that's their drawback game. 6, 91, 92, 93. 94, 95, 96, 98, and scissors. Quick aim is just 618, 617, 619, 8, and 66. Then you got your screen games, your Randy, Larry, Rita, Lisa, halfback shuttle screens, your F5, your fake screens off that. And they did do a bit with play action pop passes, which you might see the game try and label them as RPOs, depending on what they do. It's not actually going to be an RPO where it's like a glance or a peek route. It's purely play action. There's no option to hand it off to the back. I think like they might have called one of them Pepper or something like that. But yeah, that's about it for what he was doing. We'll see what we get when the game comes out. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.